Now here on set, Stephen Kent, he's a conservative commentator and the spokesman for Young Voice, as also Richard Roth, founder of the Roth law firm. Welcome to you both. First, I want your thoughts. Melania there, presenting her husband, the President of the United States, for his very first official rally in the 2020 campaign. Richard, what do you make of what we just saw?
So I don't know if I should comment on Trump's immigration policies with Melania giving an introduction.
We'll get to immigration in just 1 minute.
Or if I should think of the movie Beauty and the Beast.
She's here in good standing.
She is beautiful. And he... not so beautiful. That's my thoughts.
All right, Stephen, your thoughts. You know, Trump tweeted today, Republican enthusiasm is at an all-time high. He also accused the media, what he calls the fake news, of not really paying attention to this. The venue there seemed very enthusiastic.
Well, the media is definitely paying attention to it. It is the spectacle of the evening, no doubt. But he is among his people in Florida tonight. He began his campaign in 2016 in Florida, and he's kicking it off there tonight. His polling is doing well there. Floridians, by and large, think the economy is doing well and that they're better off than they were in 2016. And he's running a Florida-first campaign. Throughout his administration thus far, he has targeted Florida's voters by spending, most of his time there in Florida, at Mar-a-Lago, granted, so I'm not sure that's actually real Florida. And then targeting Hispanic voters in the state by being really tough on Cuba and the issue in Venezuela. This is where he's going to be starting and aiming to try and get those electoral votes.
Yeah, Florida is a must-win state for Donald Trump. He has to win it, and he has spent a lot of time there. He had a rally there after the Mueller report came out and Barr issued his 4-page letter. He's had a lot of rallies there. He knows that his rise and fall is a function of how well he does in Florida. So it's a very important state.
All right, let's talk about immigration a bit. You saw the president's tweet about ICE and the new crackdown, and it happens to come right before this very first rally in the 2020 campaign. Do you think it's coincidental? Do you think there's really a strategy, a really plan of a crackdown on immigration, illegal immigration behind it? Or is it just a political card the president is playing at the right time?
So a lot of things. First of all, it literally makes me cringe when the President of the United States makes a formal announcement on Twitter. Instead of doing something with the press, doing something formally, he tweets that I'm going to crack down on ISIS.
Really? Aren't you?
But that's this president, and I still cringe. I cringe.
Okay.
But I do believe, and the other thing is that I do believe that this is very. He ran on the immigration line. He basically wanted to limit the inflow of, if you will, aliens into this country, and he is. Some think he's winning it, some think he's losing it. He has to keep that going. So I think that the, if you will, tweet that was said today, how he's going to crack down, was a political move. Because if you're going to crack down, you don't announce it, you just do it. So I think it was a political move. It may have been a good political move.
And his entire rise and fall depends on this ability to do the wall project. That's why just this morning he was tweeting out that the first panels of the wall are going up on a certain part of the Rio Grande.
And it's all,
this is so crucial to maintaining his support. And with him keeping the Republican Party and the base unified, he is stronger than ever going into 2020, and his chances at re-election should not be underestimated.
But you know what, Stephen? It's one thing to tweet about millions of illegal aliens. I don't like using this term, but illegal aliens in the president's words that are about to be deported by ICE, as he's saying. But once these images of, if there really is like a plan to do it, images of ICE conducting mass roundups and arrests start to emerge, it doesn't really look
that
good
20% of independent
the
voters
president's campaign, no?
No, people don't want that. Americans don't want to see women and children and working people rounded up out of their homes and carted on trucks.
So it sounds good as when you write the word million?
He needs to maintain support with his base, and I think that's what he is most nervous about, because the wall project is not going to be funded in full. Congress is never going to move it, and the only thing that he can do is tweet on Instagram or post on Instagram, tweet about panels going up, and make threats about deportations.
But
that's his best play.
Stephen and I do agree that I would say that 70% of what you're going to hear out, not only out of Donald Trump's mouth or tweets, but out of the Democrat, if you will, challengers' mouths, is going to be election-oriented. You're going to hear a lot of things that are coming out of their mouths, whether it's Elizabeth Warren, whether it's Joe Biden, or Donald Trump. They know that this is an election that can be had by either party. I agree Donald Trump's numbers are good, but they still are not strong. And who believes the polls? But right now, Joe Biden's running neck and neck with Donald Trump, which is odd in light of the fact that we have
neck
a very...
and neck?
Yeah.
Well,
some polls have Biden ahead of Trump.
It should shock the Democratic strategists.
And he raised a lot of money, according to what we're hearing.
Well, he's got a war chest built up, but it should shock Democrats that he is running in basically like sort of 40-40 margins with 20% of the electorate up for grabs after 2 years of an investigation by the DOJ and a media that, by and large, -1 network, is very much against him in 90% of their coverage. And yet he remains in sort of that striking territory for re-election. He's very well set up to win.
See, to the contrary, our economy is better than it's ever been. In this type of economy, this network has shown the numbers. An incumbent president wins re-election, and the numbers should be much higher. And I think this is as high as he's been, and it's going to be a fight. And forget about the polls for now, because the polls were certainly wrong 4 years ago. But it's going to be a fight, and Trump has to win Florida. He also has to win the Midwest, and we'll see what happens to the Democrats. There's a lot of people vying for position. We don't know yet.
Richard Roth and Stephen Kent, thank you for breaking it down. Of course, the president will talk about the economy.